By the first hard frost of the year, she had already stopped trusting her eyes. It is a little after 3 in the morning, and the pond at the bottom of the yard has gone black and still. A young raccoon, small, with a torn notch in her right ear and a mask paler than it should be, crouches at the water's edge, and she lowers both front paws into the cold. She does not look down. Her eyes drift up, past the koi pond, past the dark fence, toward nothing at all. And in the water out of sight, her hands begin to move. You have seen this before. Maybe on a porch camera, maybe in a photo somebody swore was adorable. A raccoon, hunched over water, working something between her paws, and you were told what it meant. You were told she was washing her food. Almost everything about that idea is wrong. And what she is really doing down there in the dark, the thing science got backwards for 200 years, is the only reason her family is going to live through the winter. This is the raccoon mind, where we follow one raccoon at a time, one small life, one real season, told slowly. If you like quiet stories about the animals that live closer to you than you think, stay a while and subscribe. It costs you nothing, and it keeps stories like hers from disappearing. Because this is her story. One female, one cold yard, one long night near the end of autumn, and a mistake, a 200-year-old mistake, sitting right there in plain sight in the way she uses her hands. Everyone who has ever watched a raccoon at the water believes they understand it. The name we gave the animal is built on that belief. And by the last few minutes of this story, on the coldest night of her year, you are going to watch that belief fall apart and watch the truth underneath it save more than one life. Stay to the end. The last thing she does in the dark changed the way I look at my own backyard pond. It might change yours too. She was born in the spring, high in the hollow of the old oak at the corner of the yard, one of 4. By autumn, 3 of her siblings were already gone, scattered, lost, the ordinary arithmetic of a raccoon's first year. She stayed. This yard, this pond, this single porch light burning above the deck stairs, this had become the whole map of her world. And it is a world she navigates almost without seeing it. Here is the thing most people never learn about her. A raccoon's real genius is not in her eyes. It is in her hands. Her front paws are among the most sensitive touch organs of any mammal alive. An enormous share of her brain, far more than in you or me, is devoted to nothing but feeling. 5 slender fingers, no thumb, and a sense of touch so fine she can read the shape of a thing she has never once looked at. So night after night she reads her yard. She runs her fingers along the underside of a log and knows, without seeing, whether a grub is hiding there. She feels the seam of a closed container and understands it the way you understand a face. To her, the dark is not empty. The dark is covered in writing, and her hands can read it. And every night at the edge of the pond she does the thing that fooled us. She lowers her food into the water and she turns it and turns it and turns it between her paws. It looks like washing. It looks careful and clean and almost human. For 200 years, that is exactly what we called it. We even built the misunderstanding into her name, Lotter, the washer, the one who cleans. 2 centuries of watching her and getting it completely wrong. Because she is not cleaning anything. When she wets those paws, the cold water softens the hard skin on her hands and something remarkable happens. Her sense of touch sharpens. Wet her fingers can feel more. She is not washing her dinner. She is turning up the resolution on her hands so she can finally read it. She is not cleaning the food. She is seeing it. And on an ordinary night, that is a quiet, private miracle no one ever notices. But this was not going to be an ordinary night. The cold came early that year, and it came fast. For weeks she had fed easily, the pond soft and open, its muddy shallows full of things her hands could find in seconds. crayfish under the stones, snails along the bank. The slow, cold-blooded life of autumn water, all of it hers, all of it readable in the dark. She had grown heavy on it, the way a raccoon must before winter, laying down the fat that would carry her through the long torpor to come. A raccoon does not truly hibernate. She sleeps in the deepest cold and wakes in the thaws, but only if she went into winter fat enough. And she was close. She was almost there. Then in a single night, the first real freeze closed over the yard. She came down to the pond as she always did, and the world had changed. A thin skin of ice ringed the shallows. The mud had gone hard, and the easy food, the crayfish, the snails, the slow things she had read so easily all autumn had pulled down and back into the deeper black water where the cold could not reach them. She went in anyway. And here the yard turned against her oldest advantage, because now the water was not just dark, it was deep and clouded and freezing. She put her face to the surface and saw nothing. No shape, no movement, just black glass and her own faint reflection under the porch light. Her eyes, which had never been the point, were now completely useless. If she was going to eat tonight, she was going to have to do it the only way she ever really could. By feel, in water cold enough to hurt, reaching for food she could not see, in a yard that had just taken away every advantage but one. She waded into her shoulders, and she began to read. Her eyes rolled up in a way, that strange, blank, upward stare you may have seen and thought was fear or emptiness. It is neither. It is concentration. She was pulling everything she had out of her eyes and pouring it into her hands, into 10 cold fingers moving through black water, feeling along the pond floor for anything alive. Nothing, cold stones, a sunken leaf, the hard edge of the ice. She moved deeper. The water climbed to her chin. And still her hands kept reading, patient, methodical, turning over every stone her fingers found. Because somewhere in this yard she had known all her life, there had to be one more meal before the freeze locked it all away. Up in the hollow of the old oak, the cold was already pressing in. This was the fat that had to last her through weeks of frozen sleep. Miss it now, go into the deep cold thin, and she might simply not wake up in the thaw. That was the real weight on those 10 searching fingers. Not dinner. The whole winter. Her whole life, riding on a sense of touch in water she could not see into. And then, under a flat stone at the very edge of the deep, her fingers closed on something that moved. A crayfish, the last of the year, wedged deep in the dark where no eye on earth could have found it. She did not see it. She never saw it. She read it, in freezing black water, with hands so sensitive that the cold only made them sharper. This is the truth the old name buried. She never washed a single thing in her life. What looked like washing was always this: a mind that learned to see through its fingers, in the one place its eyes could not follow. And on the coldest night of her first year, that misunderstood little ritual at the water's edge was not cleaning, and it was not habit. It was the one skill standing between her and a winter she would not survive. She carried it up the deck stairs, back toward the oak, fat enough now, ready for the cold, reading the dark all the way home. There is a raccoon near water in your neighborhood tonight. Maybe at a pond, maybe at a dish you leave out, maybe at nothing more than a puddle under a streetlight. And if you saw her, hunched over the water, turning something patiently between her paws, you would think you knew exactly what you were looking at. You would think she was washing it. But you know now. You know those hands are not cleaning anything. You know she is reading the dark with the most sensitive fingers in the yard, seeing the world in a way you never could, in a place where your own eyes would give up completely. 200 years, we watched her do it and called it the wrong thing. We even named her for the mistake. Most people will go their whole lives believing they once saw a raccoon wash her dinner. You won't. And the next time you catch two small hands working quietly at the edge of the water under a porch light, late, you'll know she isn't cleaning. She's seeing. So tell me, have you ever watched a raccoon at the water in your own yard, and what did you think she was doing? Leave it below. I read every one. I'll see you in the next one.